and welcome to my first YouTube video on my channel. Today I will be answering some questions that I've been asking you guys to ask me on Instagram. Go in with my Clinique, the vitamin C. Then I just kind of put it everywhere. Just kind of make my skin look smooth and clear, even though it's not right now. Then I just moisturize with the lotion. In a minute, while I'm letting this dry, I'm going to answer some questions. One of the questions I got was I prepared to have a kid? And obviously at 17 years old, no, I was not prepared to have a kid. It was just kind of something that, was unplanned and happened. But the way I saw it was that, I was working a full-time job. At the time, her dad was working a full-time job, and I felt as though we were able to, be able to provide and give her the life that she deserved. So I wasn't really scared as much as I was kind of excited, but I guess I would have been a little bit more scared of failing. But obviously now, with her being 3 years old, I'm very aware that there's no right or wrong way to parent, and you just kind of figure it out as you go. Not everybody's going to be the perfect parent, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no such thing as a bad parent. Another question I got was my mom supportive? In the beginning, no, she wasn't, but I also didn't really ever have a very good relationship with my mom. It was kind of expected, but as a lot of you know off my TikTok, I no longer have a relationship with my mom. Just for personal reasons, I chose to remove her from my life. Yeah, we don't really have a relationship anymore. So other than that, I do have an older brother and an older sister that are completely supportive and always here for me, on top of awesome friends and of course my boyfriend. So that's always good to have. All right, I think that I can start to cover up some of these pimples. What I typically do if I have any red pimples or just spots is I just take my concealer and just lightly dab wherever I want to cover. Typically just do 2 lines here. Oh, I've got some stuff here. And then what I end up doing is oh my gosh, I just got concealer on my neck. Anyways, then what I end up doing is I let it sit for 3-5 minutes. That way when I go in with my brush and my foundation, it doesn't wipe off and blend in with my foundation. It just kind of stays there and covers it. It does its job. Anyways, on to the next question. A lot of my questions are a lot of just compliments, saying that Ainsley and I are beautiful and stuff, which I really appreciate. So thank you guys for that. How old are you and Ainsley? I am 21. My birthday is October 24th, and Ainsley is 3, and her birthday was April 18th. I get this question so often, it's honestly crazy. What are me and Ainsley's favorite Starbucks drinks? I get just a regular coffee frap. I usually get a venti. I don't know, I personally like it just because it's sweet, and it's just a good go-to. And you can get it decaffeinated as well if you're young and you want to try it, and your parents won't let you have coffee. You can get it decaffeinated, and then there's no caffeine, but it still tastes the exact same. And we always get Ainsley the strawberries and cream frappuccino, the smallest size typically. There was one time that we ordered it, and they accidentally gave us a grande instead of a tall, and I gave it to her anyways, obviously, but I just thought it was kind of funny because the drink was as big as her head. But yeah, I don't know. It's something that we just kind of do for her. Typically, if we're on our way to drop her off to her dad's, just as a little goodbye, have a good weekend type thing. I don't know. What is my favorite thing about being a mom? Aww. There are so many things that I love about being a mom. I guess the main one would be, watching Ainsley learn new things and watching her grow, and just thinking I taught her that. It's just incredible to watch an entire human being grow up and form new words and learn new skills, and just knowing that I'm responsible for teaching her all of these amazing things is just, it makes me super happy. It really does. Let's move on to my foundation for a minute. So I forgot to say what concealer I used, I'm sorry. I used the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless 24-Hour Concealer in the shade Fair Warm. And then I also use the Smashbox foundation, shade 0.5. Then I just go in with my foundation brush that I also just got at Shoppers Drug Mart. I don't know. I don't tend to spend too much money on my makeup. You don't need to in order to get, you know, a certain kind of look. It's not all about price, that's for sure. It's so hard to get around my nose piercing sometimes. So yeah, I just go in with my brush. I used to use a beauty blender, but the reason why I kind of stopped doing it and went back to using a brush was just because I found that for me personally, when I use a brush, it kind of takes off a lot of that excess foundation and leaves you with more of a still glowy, like sleek foundation look rather than, I don't know, I found when I was using a beauty blender that it looked more caked on, which I don't like personally unless it's a special occasion and I'm going out somewhere and I kind of just want to look, you know, more done up. But personally, for like an everyday type of thing, I would just prefer to have it look as natural as possible. Kind of use a brush to get that look that I want. And I mean, even sometimes with a brush, it's not the best at like covering blemishes and stuff, but I don't really mind it, to be honest, just because I do try to go for that more natural look. I'd rather, you know, have them like semi-covered rather than fully covered, I guess, just to keep it looking more natural. Like, then I typically just go in with my concealer and add a little bit more just under my eyes, just for the fact that I do contour. Sometimes I do my forehead as well, but just because when I contour, I want these parts of my face to stand out a bit more. But this is my foundation and concealer. Obviously, I'm not a professional makeup artist or anything, so it doesn't always end up perfect every time I do my makeup. Okay, then next, I typically go in with my setting powder. And I just use CoverGirl setting powder. This one is the 105 Translucent Fair. I honestly just put it all over my face. I have pretty oily skin, so if I don't put it all over my face and I just single out specific sections, then if I like scratch my face or anything like that, my makeup will typically just kind of wear off in that area. Obviously that's not good, so yeah, I don't know, I just kind of like lightly, I don't really cake it on. I just kind of do it very lightly all over the place. My concealer didn't cover everything, but I don't know, I'm okay with it. I feel like it looks more natural when you don't completely cover every single imperfection on your face. Just the NYX highlight and contour palette. I use this shade, if you can't tell, for me personally, but I just lightly do it here. I use a big brush, but a lot of people prefer to use a smaller one, but I feel like I use a bigger one just so that it doesn't ever end up looking like a straight line of contour. Like, it blends pretty well when you use a bigger brush. It kind of goes on more like a blush at the end of the day when you use a bigger brush. And I don't know, I prefer that. And then I typically just do like a couple dabs, and I still use the big brush for my nose. Like, I just kind of go all the way up to where my eyebrow starts, and I just put a little bit on my nose. But again, I like using the big brush because I don't have this defined line of contour. I mean, some people like it that way, so if you do use a smaller brush, but just for me personally, I don't like it that way. I use the Maxi blush from Rimmel London, and I just go in with like an angled brush. And I just go on like the apple of my cheeks here, and then I just go up with it. I struggle to find like where you should put your blush. Just like smile, and then just get where that crease is, where you smile. That's the apple of your cheek. But yeah, I don't know. I kind of like a lot of blush. I think it's pretty. So this is the blush and the contour all done. After blush, that's when I typically just do my eyebrow. I use this double-sided thin angled brush. And I go in with the Maybelline Tattoo Studio brow pomade. This one is 380 Deep Brown. I like it because it's like a cream. You can wet it as well. Like, you can wet your brush a little bit and use it. I typically do that when I have my brown hair, but because I just dyed my hair black, I want my eyebrows to be a little bit darker. So if you wet it, the pomade kind of goes on a little bit lighter, and I typically only will like that if my hair's brown. But I typically start from the middle of my eyebrow going to where it curves at the end there, right to the tail. And just kind of find where I want to position it there. Obviously, as you guys can see, I don't have much eyebrow hair to work with. It's definitely easier to do your eyebrows when you have hair to work with. But I've been doing my eyebrows for years now, so I kind of have just figured out what works for me. Then I typically go and line the bottom all the way to where I want it to end. Then I very, very lightly just brush up. Just do some nice upward strokes with my brush, just to kind of have that like fading out effect at the ends. Then it doesn't look too like bricky at the end. And this is typically how I do it. I might just add a little bit more on the ends here, just so that when it catches the light, it doesn't disappear. I also have two totally different eyebrow shapes naturally, so it is hard to get them to look identical. Yeah, I don't know, I just kind of do my best to make it look like they're even, but this is both eyebrows fixed and finished. Okay, I'm gonna answer a few more questions before I continue. I get a lot of questions about what Ainsley's schedule is like for when she's at her dad's versus when she's at my house. So for right now, because of COVID, her dad is not working. So typically he would get the Monday off anyways. So we decided to have him take her from Saturday until Tuesday during COVID while he's off work. But then when he goes back to work, it'll be Saturday to Monday. She comes back Monday morning. Just because right now we're doing 50-50. Just, you know, I get a break, he gets a break, and it's, you know, it's fair that way. Then I have her Tuesday until Saturday morning. It's not bad. It gives me time to be able to, you know, work on TikTok stuff, now YouTube stuff. It gives me time to myself to, you know, work on a few things without having to worry about any distractions or anything like that. Obviously, not that I don't want her with me. Of course, if I could always have her with me, I would, but, you know, it's one of those things where I have to do what's best for her as well as myself. What's the question you get asked the most? I would say one is, Ainsley your kid? Which obviously yes. But the second question more recently is if Ryan is her dad. And I'm just gonna say right now for the final time, Ryan is not her dad. Ryan is my boyfriend, and she calls him Ryan, and that's it. And he's not her stepdad. We are not married. I am not divorced. Yeah, those are questions that I get all the time that needed to be answered. So no, he is not her dad. I am not going to share any personal information about her dad or in regards to her dad. It's not my place to say. It's not my place to talk about. That's more of a personal thing that I'm not willing to share. Yeah, bottom line, we have a very good co-parenting relationship. We do what's best for Ainsley at the end of the day. That's all that you guys kind of really need to know about that. I also get a lot of questions in regards to why her dad and I split up, which is another thing that I don't really want to openly talk about. It is very personal. Bottom line is, it just wasn't a healthy relationship for me personally, and I had to do what was best for myself, Ainsley, and also my mental health. And so that's what I did. Have I had any regrets or difficulties in life? Anyways, you're so strong and keep going on. Thank you. That's so sweet. Okay. Wouldn't say I have any regrets, no. I do believe that everything happens for a reason and that your life is going to take you on the path that, you know, it wants to take you on. But I've had many difficulties in my life. Having to be completely living on my own at 17 years old before I graduated. Choosing to no longer have a relationship with my mom was, you know, obviously a difficult decision, but I felt that that was what needed to happen. On top of having to move houses, I think that I have moved now 10 times since I was 17 years old. It sucks to have to be moving a lot because it just kind of made me feel like I never had a home it was just like a place for now. Yeah, which is kind of hard, but I did what I needed to do for Ainsley's sake and for our sake. I'm gonna answer one more question before I continue my makeup. For other moms out there, any tips or tricks you have to make your life easier? That was a question asked by my sister, so thank you. I feel like that's a tough one because, like I said, parenting is kind of like a learn as you go. No, I don't really think that there's any tricks to parenting. One of the main things that I did when Ainsley was little was teach her the basics of sign language, which ended up helping me so much, especially around the 6-month area, where if she was upset for any reason or needed something, she was able to communicate through sign language to tell me what she needed. So even though she couldn't verbally communicate, she could still communicate to us through sign language. And I did it with every single thing. If she wanted a toy that was too far away, I have a toy, please. If she took a bite, but she wanted another bite, I would take her fingers and show her more, and then I would reward her with the food to show her that if you do this, this is what you get in return. Starting at 3 months, and by 6 months, she could completely sign all of those things, and it made it so much easier for me to know what she needed when she needed it. Yeah, I think it's super cute. When she goes to school as well, if there's any kids in her school that need to know sign language or anything like that, she knows like a few things here or there. I personally think it's pretty awesome. All right, I think we are going to go in and start with my eyeshadow now. All right, personally, when I do eyeshadow, I like to use my Morphe Natural Glow 350 palette. I just like it for like the brown smoky eyes and stuff because it's a lot of natural colors. It's kind of messy, but that's what happens when I let Ainsley use my makeup. I typically start with my Morphe M518. I'll typically use a lighter shade, so like this one for my base, just to cover my eyelid. I just kind of put it right in the middle and all around the top. Okay. It doesn't really like show up too much. Like I said, it's just kind of like what I like to use for a base. Just kind of make that triangle point like eyeshadow look. It just suits my eyes the best. I typically go in next with my Morphe M506 brush just to go into the crease and along the outer corners here, just to darken it up with a bit of a darker color. So I would typically use like this color, or even this one if you want to go darker. I'm personally just gonna use this one, and that kind of just starts to give it that smoky eye look with the darker corners there. I just kind of blend really quickly just where my eye crease is there, just to kind of mesh the colors together a little bit more. So in the light, so far this is what I have. This is what it looks like. I would typically just use the same brush for the next part because I'm going to go in with an even darker brown, so I don't really care if it's not clean. I'm going to go in with this color here. It's got a little bit of a shimmer to it, so I like that. Okay, and then here's where I typically would cut my crease with some concealer just to make that glittery part that I'm going to put in the middle section stand out a little bit more. I just put the concealer on like a flat brush there, and then I just start in the inner corner of my eye here, and I just open my eye like that so I can kind of see where it should sit, and I just focus on whatever area of my eye I want to have the glitter. This is where I've put mine. That's where I want the glitter to go. That after it dries, once you add your glitter, you can always go back in around the corners and add your darker colors. Let's answer some more questions. I really like this question. What do I like most about my fans? I think the main thing that I really like about my fans is my TikTok account is extremely positive. Yes, here and there I get the hate comments and then the more negative stuff, but for the most part, my fans are awesome for staying positive and supporting anything that I post or any decision I make when it comes down to Ainsley. Yeah, which is so important to me to have that. kind of fan base, and it means a lot to me. If for whatever reason I do end up getting some sort of hate comment or, you know, a question that should not have been asked, there's typically someone out there that will comment and, you know, back me up or have my back on it, which is really awesome. I honestly feel like I have almost 130,000 friends, and that's the coolest part about it. I obviously never expected to get to this point or get this many followers or get this big on TikTok. It was a thing that I downloaded as a stay-at-home mom to kind of give me something to do when Ainsley was napping, that kind of thing. And it just kind of turned into something that I found so fun to even just do by myself or to do with Ainsley. And it means a lot to me that I have so many people supporting me and, you know, loving the content that I put out. That's definitely the best part about my fans. You guys are awesome. So positive, so sweet, so supportive. How tall am I? I am only 4'11". Super short, but Ainsley's dad is very tall. He is 6'5", so she definitely has not gotten her height from me, considering she's already 3'4". So yeah, it's kind of funny, but it is what it is. I can't help how tall I am. What is my favorite fast food place? Oh my gosh, you guys. I guess I do post a lot of TikToks of us eating out. I feel like it's just because it's just fun. You know, like going out in the car as a family like that has always been so fun for us. We're always jamming to music, or just that's when we have our, you know, talks about life, work, all that type of stuff, which I love. So I feel like that's why I kind of like capturing it and making a TikTok out of it. I think that we just like to have so much fun. But it probably looks like we eat a lot of fast food, which lately we've been really bad for. My favorite fast food place, though, I don't know. I feel like it's tough because I'm the type of person that wants to change it up. Like, I don't always want to have burgers and fries, but I also don't always want to have pizza. So I feel like I don't really have a favorite. We just switch it up. Like, we'll get Subway one day or pizza one day, burgers one day. Yeah, it's kind of weird. But my favorite sit-down restaurant is First Round, for sure. It's a sports bar, and it sells, like, a lot of, like, greasier foods, but I don't know. I really like it. Do I ever get hate in person about how I parent? Wouldn't go as far as to say I get hate, but, you know, if I'm out at the grocery store and that day I choose not to wear makeup or anything like that, I do get lots of looks from people. For the most part, people are pretty good. I feel like, you know, once you see that she's well looked after, she's well taken care of, she doesn't look like she's not taken care of. So I feel like there's no reason to not know me personally and to hate on me for being a parent. But I definitely do get looks here and there and stuff, but what can you do? Not everybody's gonna support you. How old were you when you had Ainsley? I was 17 when I found out that I was pregnant, and then I had her at 18. Okay, I like this question. What is my favorite thing to do? I feel like, obviously, being a mom and having Ainsley all the time, my favorite thing to do is obviously hang out with her. I love playing all of her little games with her. She loves to help me clean the house, which I know sounds pretty funny, but like helping me wash the dishes, loves it. Sometimes I have to use it as a punishment. She loves it so much. She loves to help me sweep, all that type of stuff. The only thing that she doesn't like when it comes to cleaning is if she messed up her room and she has to clean it and like I'm not gonna help her kind of thing. So it's kind of one of those things where she has to do it by herself. But if I'm already cleaning, then typically she wants to come in and help. But making TikToks with her is a lot of fun too. She loves it, and she's starting to get to that age where she's figuring out what TikTok is. If ever I like put my phone down and I'm trying to take a picture with her or something, she'll ask me if we're going live on TikTok, or she'll ask me if I'm doing my makeup to make videos with her that day and stuff like that. So there are days where she's not feeling TikTok and she doesn't want to make any videos, so of course I don't force her. But there are a lot of days where she loves it and she finds it really fun. This whole COVID thing has been pretty hard, having to mostly stay in the house. Typically we would go to West Edmonton Mall, because I am from Edmonton. That's another question I get asked a lot. But typically we go to West Edmonton Mall, we go to parks. Even though the parks have opened up where I live, I'm still hesitant on taking her just for safety reasons. So typically we will just go for a walk, but it is getting hard to, you know, keep her from doing things, especially when we walk past a park and she sees that, you know, other kids are playing there. And for me to tell her, like, you can't go, even though she sees other kids playing, it does get hard. But I just explained that I'm doing it for her safety. I guess I'll explain how I've explained to Ainsley about COVID. Because obviously she's a 3-year-old and she just recently had a lot of things taken away, like being able to go to daycare, parks, the mall, stuff that she would normally typically do and have a lot of fun with that all of a sudden she could no longer do. So the way that I explained it to her was that there is a sick going around, and that a lot of people are getting sick. And so to help keep people safe, people who are not sick safe, people are wearing masks, people are wearing gloves. There are lineups outside the store. You have to keep your distance from people. There are no going up to people on the sidewalk and asking to pet their dog, because it's to keep you and other people safe. When I first said that to her, the first thing she said to me was, I'm not sick, which is expected, but I just said, it's not about you, it's about other people. And if someone else is sick, they could give you their sick germs and then you could get sick. So she does really well. Now that I've explained it to her that way, she asked me to go to the park. I say we can't because of the sick, and she understands. If, you know, she wants to walk in the grocery store and I say, no, you have to sit in the cart because of the sick. So I don't know. I kind of like the way that I explained it to her that way. It just helped her understand it so much better, which I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that she's very good with communication and that she was able to understand that. Anyways, let's finish this eye look. Let's add the glitter. Let me pick which color I want to use. I'm honestly just going to go in with this gold right here. It's super shiny. It's basically just your typical gold. I'm gonna use like the regular fluffy brush. Blow off that excess. The reason why I put concealer on my eyelids when I'm doing a glitter is because having a white base makes the color and the sparkles pop way more than if you just put it on over top of other eyeshadow colors. So that's the reason why I do it. Learned that from other YouTubers such as James Charles, which everyone knows is my favorite, and Ainsley's favorite. So this is the glitter. I'm gonna go through and add more darker colors in the corners afterwards. I just like to do that to kind of make everything look even and stand out. I just kind of touch everything up at the end. I also like to take just your regular like flat-headed brush. I would typically use the same dark brown that I put in the corners, and that's what I put under my eye, just because if I don't put anything under there, I feel like it doesn't connect this part of the makeup, which I think is kind of really important. It kind of makes it stand out more when you have that. So this is the look almost complete. I'm just gonna go in with a darker color in the corners. I'll show you which color that's gonna be. I'm just gonna use like a very dark color like this one, just to make the outer corners there pop. You see how that just kind of, you know, makes it more smoky eye when you have it way darker on the one side. But, you know, it's all about personal preference and figuring out what you like for your face. Like, everybody's eye shape is different. You know, different eye looks look better on different people. So I started doing my makeup at 16, but I didn't start wearing eyeshadow until I was 18. So I really only more recently got into doing these eyeshadow looks. So I'm not the best at it for sure, but I'm definitely starting to figure out what works for my eye and that kind of thing. It's definitely not something that you just learn overnight. You kind of have to put a lot of time and effort into figuring out what you like. Okay, so this is both of the eyes done. I'm gonna pop on some lashes. I'm gonna use the Ardell Faux Mink eyelashes. I got them at Walmart. I like them. And I just used the Duo glue. It goes on white and it dries clear. I typically will take the end of a makeup brush and just use it to push it down. Just because I did have an applicator for my eyelashes, but Ainsley got into it and ripped the silicone part off of it that you're supposed to use to push your eyelashes on. So I just make do with a brush. I don't feel like it's so necessary to go out and get a new one. So this is what the first one looks like. As you can see, it just kind of draws it together. After this step, I will be adding mascara to my eyelashes and like doing my bottom lashes. And then we go to highlight, which is obviously every girl's favorite part. I personally love to sparkle and shine. Highlight is my favorite part, and I like to put a lot on, which is just a personal preference, but I don't know, especially when it comes to like making TikTok videos and stuff, you know, I like my highlight to be noticeable. Yeah, I just kind of, I don't know, use the other end of my brush to push the lashes down. And then I'll let them dry before I'll go in with my eyelash curler and curl it again. But while we wait for them to dry, obviously highlight. I ran out of setting spray. Typically, I will just use the Morphe setting spray, but I ran out. Super unfortunate. But I use the Master Holographic Prismatic Highlighter by Maybelline. I use more than one. The Master Chrome Metallic Highlighter from Maybelline as well. So I always start with this one. I apply it a generous amount, I guess. And then I'll go on top with this one just because this one's, it's more of a clear highlight, whereas this one's like a rose gold highlight. So if I'm doing like a smoky eye or a darker eye look, I like to use the rose gold one. But again, makeup is a lot of personal preferences, like what works best for you and your eyes and all of that. So I honestly think that there's no way of like doing makeup the right way, just because everybody's so different. Nobody can come on a social media platform and tell you this is the only way that you can do your makeup. You can really just, you know, take advice from other people and make it your own and do what's best for your face and your eyes and just kind of do how you like it. So I obviously go from here up, just kind of up close to the corner of my eyeshadow there. Just make that part of my face shine. And then I go in and do the tip of my nose. And I go about this far up my nose. With it. So I'll show you in the light afterwards. But yeah, I don't know. I add a lot, but again, it's personal preference. I really like to have a lot of highlight on. Some people don't like to have a lot of highlight on. I like to sometimes, if I'm putting on lipstick, just do like this part of my mouth as well. It just makes like your cupid's bow and your lips stand out a lot when you have lipstick on, which is always nice. And then I will just go in with my translucent highlighter on top. Especially when I don't have setting spray to put on my face before I add my highlight. I like to use this one afterwards, just because this one photographs really well on my nose and here. Oh, I almost forgot. I like to do the brow bone of my eyebrow as well, but I don't typically use both colors for it. But I just go in with this fan brush and do it all. I might, to be honest, use both highlights. Just, again, I don't have my setting spray. Setting spray makes a huge difference when it comes to highlight. If you spray your face and get your face wet before you put highlight on, it shows up so much more than if you don't. Just like a huge thing. Because I know a lot of people will buy a highlight and then not like how it goes on, and they'll just continue to keep buying highlights until they find the right one. But honestly, it's all about using setting spray and getting your face kind of wet. Add the mascara. I typically just use the Lash Blast Fusion mascara from CoverGirl. I like it. It's really good for volume if you need volume. But I just do like a nice thin coat all over the fake eyelashes and my actual eyelashes. Gotta get the bottom lashes. I've also been doing a lot better with just wearing no makeup a lot. I used to be super self-conscious about not wearing makeup, mainly because of my eyebrows. I used to get judged a lot because I didn't have eyebrows. On top of that, to fix that problem, I tried to draw them on, but when I first started doing makeup and I first started drawing them on, they were like bricks, very dark and thick and squared right at the end. And so I've definitely improved with how to shape my eyebrows the way that they should be shaped. But yeah, my eyebrows was something that I was super insecure about for many, many years. Now I just kind of don't really care. I'm a mom now, and it's very important for me to show Ainsley it's okay to look how you look. You don't have to wear makeup to feel beautiful. You don't have to wear makeup to leave the house. If you want to do it to make yourself feel better that day, go for it. But I think that it's very important for me to teach her that you don't need it to please anyone else. And if anyone else is not okay with how you look without makeup, then they're probably not the right people to be hanging out with or surrounding yourself with. Growing up, my mom didn't let me start playing with makeup until I was 16. Which I didn't really like, just because I really knew that makeup could be a passion of mine, so it was kind of frustrating that she wouldn't let me even play with it at home. So that's why I agree as to why she didn't let me wear it until I was 16, but like to school and everything. But I feel like with Ainsley, if makeup is something that she gets into, I would let her and supply her with all the stuff she would need to be able to do it at home, wear it at home, or like if it's just me and her going out to the grocery store, sure. But I would not let her go to school with a full face fake eyelashes and eyeshadow in elementary, maybe grade 9. That's just my opinion. That's kind of what I want to do for her. Okay, I'm gonna do my lipstick. I'm gonna use the Maybelline New York Superstay Matte Ink Lipstick in the shade Seductress. I like it because it's super nude. A lot of nudes are hard because some of them are super pink undertoned, others are super brown undertoned, and this one I found is the best. It suits me. Let's check out how this look turned out, because I'm pretty sure that this is gonna be the finished look. As you can see, the darker colors on my eyes really make blue eyes pop. So if you're at home and you have blue eyes, a brown smoky eye is always like a good thing to go with. This is it completely finished, and I think I answered all your questions. With that, I'm just gonna say thank you for joining and watching. It was a pleasure to answer all your guys' questions. Just thank you for joining me on this journey. Like, this is crazy. I can't believe I just made my first YouTube video. Bye!